Okay, so here we are again.
Season
Episode
1, Episode 8. And
Still
we have
season
a
1. Still season 1. When do seasons change?
Seasons change typically in November when TV changes, I would think. Or since y'all started, if y'all started in January, when did y'all start?
Last week.
A couple weeks ago. Very random time.
Okay. Well, I got it.
But I wonder, is there that's a great question. Like in podcast worlds, which I don't know, is it like you do 50 episodes and then it's season 2? Like how do seasons work in podcast world?
You know what? I bet we've got somebody we can call and find out.
So all y'all amazing podcast listeners, let us know if there's an amount of episodes for Team Season 1. I don't know. That's a great question.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Okay, cheers.
We're still in Season 1. Cheers.
Episode 8. Season 1.
That's great. And it is a legend session, which...
It is. With our favorite legend.
Oh,
You didn't hit it.
No, I didn't.
Turn it off.
That's good.
no.
So, legend
bad.
session. Oh, we have to show our attire.
Oh, this is our friend Katherine Way. And she...
And I have a Katherine Way skirt
Oh,
on.
nice.
And a top.
And a top.
And a
Look at
top.
that.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have a shirt.
You have a shirt?
I have the golf attire.
I have a
the
dress
golf
on
line,
today.
and she
Yes.
has the... So this is our friend Katherine Way, who had a clothing line
Yeah.
called Katherine Way Collections.
What are the odds?
Yeah. And we have the honor of having her today with our Lydia theme and our maker of purple cloth,
Yes.
seller of purple cloth.
And I think as you and I were talking about it, and we were talking about Lydia and this idea of her being purple cloth,
Right.
we're like, well, we know who our
Right,
legend
right,
is.
exactly.
We've got Katherine,
Well,
the
and
dealer of cloth.
purple is like one of my favorite
I know,
colors.
I
So,
know.
Well, and I mean, I think your Katherine Way designs, part of it was the vibrant, fun
Right.
colors. I mean, and when you think of Lydia and the purple cloth, that was what it was. Like that fabric.
It was
vibrant,
royalty.
fun.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
Purple is for royalty, so I feel very special to have Katherine
Yeah,
Way because
well.
it's no longer, which we'll hear about.
Huh?
It's no longer, which we will hear
Yeah.
about.
We'll
Yes.
talk about that. Yeah.
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 So,
yeah.
Anyway,
Well,
so
I
tell
have
us,
to tell
like,
you. I have to tell you. So I've watched 3 or 4 of the, season
7
1 of the episodes. Yeah, and you girls are having a lot of fun.
it's
so you
hysterical.
both are having a lot of fun, and it's always thanks for inviting me too, because
Well,
this is going to be fun.
Like this is like my time of the week that I know that I'm just going to like laugh over the dumbest stuff.
Yeah,
we
well,
just
also
laugh.
it's the end of the day too, and you're giddy by
Yeah,
the end of the day.
that's true. We've had a long day. Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well,
So,
good.
yeah, so
it is fun. It has been more work than I think we anticipated. Like, I think the thought, at least in my mind, was
Yes.
like, oh, we'll do a podcast. We meet every week anyways. We'll just record it.
yeah, we're going to record our conversation.
my word.
Yeah.
So for all the podcasters out there that
Should just
are doing
do it.
this professionally and doing it well, it's a lot of work.
It is.
I mean, it's
a
a
lot of work.
lot
It
more
is.
work than I
Yeah.
think either of us anticipated. And so
Y'all-
shout out to Mike King, who's been helping
Yes.
us.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's one of the employees at Cup of Joe who this is the world he walks in. So he just sat with us the other day and was like, I'll take care of
you
some of
need to do this. You need to do that. And we're like, how do we
Oh,
do
okay.
that? And he's like, why don't we just Google Drive it to me? Yeah.
Thank you, Michael.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're getting some help,
Yeah,
which
exactly.
is great.
Yeah.
We owe him.
You know, Stephanie Mack and I used to do one once a month.
Oh, you did?
Oh
That's
my
right,
gosh,
I forgot.
we would do one, and it was, I mean, they would
She's
tear the
funny.
whole office apart, and put it together, a whole little stage and backdrop and stuff, and it was a lot of work.
She is funny.
And she's so funny
She's
anyway.
funny.
Yeah. So,
Our subscribers are growing though, which is
Yes,
really exciting.
yes,
We
yes,
are
yes.
watching the analytics now, which
I know.
who knew there was a
I
world
know.
of analytics.
Who wants
Yeah.
social media when you can watch
It's now
analytics?
that I'm a little obsessed on my phone though, because every morning I get up and I'm like, we have
How many
analytics
people?
for the day. So that's
How we
been
doing?
fun.
How we
So
doing?
for those of you who have subscribed and listened, thank you for
All
subscribing.
to
and
God's
listening.
glory.
yeah.
Absolutely, because clearly
Yeah.
We are Christian working women, and that's why we're here.
That's it. So,
And just make sure you tell your friends and pass it on, because I'm sure that they will relate.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's not, you know what? We're having a good time.
Yeah,
That's it.
Sure have
So,
a good time.
that's okay.
Yeah.
But we hope so.
Yeah.
So Lydia and management, that's where we're at.
Okay.
This is the month. We're kind of rounding it up. You're the legend, and then we have laughter next time, and we will kind of wrap up management. And so we listened to the Miles Monroe sermon last time, and we put it in the comments or in the details so everybody can listen to it. That's kind of where we spent last time in the lesson. Like, we kind of just did a little bit of a message sermon, digested it. So today is just your fun story of what God has done in your life.
Oh.
So,
Okay.
well, you know, when we had Cece, we kind of shared of how we knew.
Yes, that's
then.
true.
So I met Katherine 8 years ago when I was hired at LifeWork Leadership. Were you on the board? Yeah, you were part of the board even when I got hired. And so we met each other 8 years ago and have spent the last 8 years doing life together, literally life work and life, from the fashion shows to the sales. When I would come, we would be there at the warehouse when you would have the warehouse sales. And you were here stomping on
Cockroaches.
In her little white sweater and her Katherine Way shorts. I will never forget that.
behind the counter.
Exactly.
Just about right here.
I was like, oh my word.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we have been in the trenches together and have walked through life together for the last 8 years. And
We've made a lot of stuff happen.
we have made a lot of stuff happen
A lot of stuff.
together.
Yeah, we really
I mean, this street is, in Jack's Beach, like, to be able to say this street has changed because of Cup of Joe, I mean, it was
the three of us.
the three of us. It was a homeless,
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah.
Like, when we first opened it and we came to open on the weekends, my husband would say, like, you can't go there by yourself.
Right?
I mean, it was, which is so crazy. Now there's this beautiful restaurant. I mean, so
Oh,
it
and
is
the whole
changing.
this whole area has revitalized.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I mean, even the mayor has said
Yeah.
that Cup of Joe has made a big difference in Jacksonville Beach, which is really great. And I mean, for those who don't know, I mean, the beach is right there.
Yeah.
I mean, you can, and now we have ice cream here. So
I know,
you can
it's
have
been
ice
such a
cream.
blessing.
It
But
is
I
so
think
fun.
that's been for the three of us, our biggest connection would be
For
the
sure.
coffee shops. I mean, that's
Well-
really what we've done a lot, but
that's
that's
right.
been the thing that,
Well, and I think also it was so much fun was to see the vision and how the coffee shop, by giving a cup of coffee to others, how it would bring God to them, and it was amazing. I mean, we've
and
seen
still
so
happening.
many people.
I mean,
Yeah.
we're
Still
opening another
happening.
one. Like
Right.
it's still
Yeah.
just, God took an idea and has just
Grown it.
multiplied it. Like when we talk about management,
Right,
I mean, the
exactly.
coffee shop is where we're living out what we talked about last
Being
podcast,
fruitful.
which was we had a seed. The three of us had a seed.
Yes.
We made it
So-
fruitful, and we've multiplied it, and we are now getting into the reproduction side of it. I mean,
Right.
and just
So
this
good.
coffee shop is literally us living out what we talked about in that
Yep.
sermon.
Right.
And
Exactly.
that's
The
been
last
really
one is
fun.
have to subdue and have dominion, and we're working on those
Yeah,
things.
we'll have dominion over the
Dominion over the coffee shops in
world.
Jacksonville.
So that's how I met you. You guys have known each other longer.
We went through life work together. That's
Yeah.
where we met.
Sure
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
The
we were in the same class.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Catherine was just beginning to launch, or the thought of launching Katherine Way, which we can get into. But, we sort of just connected, and I had my company and she was doing that. And so we spent a lot of time together strategizing about her end and my end, and she helped me with marketing. And so,
But before we did that, there was a competitive table. We were competitive table. Kristin is, she never goes down on, she wants a competitive opportunity. We've seen that in playing bowling and other things. So she will not lose. And so she was one table and I was at another
LifeWork?
table at LifeWork. And for some reason we were doing something that we had, and we had to talk to each other, and that's kind of how we really kind of got
That's true.
together.
I forgot
And
about
I don't even know what we were
Yeah, what
doing,
we were-
but it was so much fun. It was like, oh, this girl's for real. All right, I
step up my game.
I need to get going on this.
We
'cause
were,
this is
we were,
gonna be
that's
fun.
right.
Yeah.
And we
that's-
just sort of clicked.
And we did.
And
we
so,
did.
yeah.
And by the end of that season, I mean, we were finishing each other's sentences,
Yeah.
and that
Did you
was
get
so
on the
awesome.
board together? I mean,
Yes.
this was all
Yeah.
before me, so
Yes.
you guys
Yeah, we both got on the
together.
with Michael.
with Michael. Yes.
Yeah, we all came on at the same time.
We had Michael, who's so humble and so quiet, and then the two of us. So
It was
we can do this, we can do this. Now.
Yeah.
Charlie.
Right.
Poor Charlie.
Right. Exactly. What have I done?
Yeah.
So no, it's been great. And Catherine's been, I would call you like a mat carrier from a business perspective, like for sure, right? Like I go to Katherine for, I have to hire somebody, I have to fire somebody. She's on my board now. She's helped us with marketing.
And I've helped in employment.
Yeah,
I brought you-
HR. Yeah, several.
So I've done
Yeah,
that.
several
Helped them
employee
find a new
referrals.
building, a new
Oh
office.
my gosh, she's my, like, if I want to get it done and I'm a little nervous about how it's going to happen, she sort
She's
of
the one.
pre-sells it. Yeah, yeah,
Which is always fun.
yeah,
'Cause,
exactly.
I'll take this. I'll take
Yeah,
this.
she always.
I'll do the
I
heavy
gotta
lifting.
do that.
I'll do the heavy lifting. You just, she's the smart
So
one.
what?
Yeah.
Do you think you've always been that personality? Is that something that like you just from way back when you were that kind of a person? Like,
Well, I think that I've always been a leader. I think one of my gifts God gave me was to be a leader. Whether it's just in the most simple little things, just like, in your school,
right?
to in business alone. I mean, I remember one time I was here for what is it called when the city calls you to sit on a trial? What is that? A jury.
Jury
duty.
And so, I asked a few questions in the jury room, and they were like, you
Yeah.
are.
Oh, there you go.
No, sorry about that. No.
Somebody didn't prep you well.
Quiet. No. So, but I mean, I feel like that God's given me the leader, or at least making sure that people work well together as a team. And that kind of
Did
stuff.
your family? I don't know your background. I mean, as I'm here, I'm like, I don't know. Like, was your mom or dad that personality? What do you think?
No, my dad was the sweetest man in the whole wide world, and a good, kind-hearted man, big Cajun man. He's a descendant of the Prudhomme family, Paul Prudhomme, and he was a vice president for International Paper Company. So he ran 3 paper divisions with Mac. Mac. He knows Mac.
Okay.
And he ran 3 divisions all over Louisiana. So they lived in Shreveport. They also had an office in New Orleans. So I got to go have good food.
Yeah.
Anytime I wanted to. But so he was very much of a leader. He was very involved in his church. My grandparents built the church. My father built the church. My mom was she was an office manager for several different companies, including a credit bureau. So she's taken the lead, on the financial side, and she loves it.
Yeah.
Unlike me. So but anyway, but she, so there, I was instilled in church from, the beginnings, and they were a lot of fun. They're still fun. Mom's still fun. Yeah.
So maybe give just a quick overview of your career.
Oh my
kind of
goodness.
just so
You
people
mentioned that we
know.
worked at Turner Broad.
Okay.
You know,
All right.
just
Well,
a quick overview before we get into
Okay.
like some of the
Okay. Well,
strategies you've used.
Okay, I'll start at Turner. I was fortunate enough to work for Ted Turner years ago. Turner Broadcasting. I managed the Atlanta Braves and Atlanta Hawks marketing.
And I worked there at the same time.
And Kristin worked at the same time.
Crazy. And you guys didn't know each other?
No, and you were at the Goodwill
I was
Games.
at the Goodwill
You weren't
Games.
there either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I worked on the marketing for the Goodwill Games. So she was there. I was there.
Isn't that crazy?
Isn't that crazy?
crazy.
And the building I worked in was the downtown CNN Center. So my office actually overlooked the CNN floor. So I could see all the action going on. So if y'all remember the war, when the war broke out, this was the Gulf War, I knew something was going on because
Everybody-
the place was
Buzzing.
crazy. And then they put us on lockdown, but it was a really interesting
Ted
time.
loved a good emergency.
He loved he loved a good
I was in
emergency.
high school when
Okay,
that
so-
war broke out.
Yeah, well, we don't talk to you. Yeah,
Right. You can be excused now.
but that was, an exciting time of my life. So I got to go through those kind of things.
Had to wear pantyhose, I'm sure.
I had to wear a suit
Yeah. me
every
too.
day, skirts only,
Yeah.
and heels,
Me too.
and
A
it
bow
was-
tie.
No bow tie.
I had a little bow tie.
Yeah, well, you were
You
in
had
the
a bow
finance
tie?
side of the business.
Those little
Little,
bows
you know, the
that
little
you-
bolo things. Yeah. But I had to keep a
I
list.
still want to see a picture of that.
Oh,
Do you have
my
pictures
God.
of
So
those?
bad.
I'm sure I do.
I had a purple one. Please
Yeah.
find it and let's put it in the
I
comments.
know.
I so want to see you
So I can
trying
find
those and bow ties.
and a
I
navy
so
suit.
wanna see
Oh my
it.
god!
So I kept a calendar. This is so crazy. I kept a calendar of every suit I wore every day so that I would not wear the same suit.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was just unheard of. It was crazy stuff. So anyway, a lot of fun. Had a really good time with
Impossible
it.
to buy stuff.
It was impossible to buy stuff.
thing.
Yeah, it was tough. Yeah, but it was Atlanta. It was great. Left there. I was working basically almost around the clock at times. It was a very stressful time of my year. So I ended up leaving there and going to work on the agency, the advertising agency side for the Athlete's Foot, and worked for them for Fitzgerald and Company for a long time. Moved over to the food side of the business with Great American Cookies. I was the director of marketing for them. And then they got sold to Mrs. Fields, so I hadn't handled all of Mrs. Fields' accounts and on and on. To fast forward to Brad got transferred to, my mom's calling. She must have heard my call.
She's calling. We're gonna call it. She's calling.
Oh my god! Can we just get to know?
So sorry about that. But anyway, fast forward to Brad got transferred to Jacksonville, and I was with Honey Baked Ham, and
right. I remember.
I ran the catalog and web division for Honey Baked Ham, which was a really fun job, and I was lucky to have that. And then she's calling again.
She's like, you better take my call. You talk to her. Online.
But anyway, what was I saying? Brad got an opportunity to move to Jacksonville, and that's what got me to Jacksonville. And I had a wonderful job working for Armor Holdings, which is a defense contractor who made all sorts of body armor, batons, holsters, you name it, all that good stuff.
I mean,
they
so from
sold the
cookies to
Guns.
guns. You're like, you know, those things to get that ham.
I'm great at cocktail parties, you know. It's good talking about anything. But I went from there to they sold to BAE Systems, and then from BAE Systems sold to Safariland. And when we got to Safariland, I'd had 7 bosses in 7 years, and I was just done.
Yeah.
And felt like the Lord was leading me a different way. And I started at BAE Systems and Armor Holdings and all that. I could not wear sleeveless dresses. I had to wear sleeve dresses, so if you put a sweater on, you looked kind of dowdy. And then if you wore a jacket, you looked overdressed because that was, it was mainly the polo shirts and the khaki pants
corporate
guys,
casual
the corporate
or whatever.
casuals, So I was just like, we need dresses with women that have 3/4 leaf sleeves so you can just, look good, feel good. And guess what? We live in Florida, and this, it's hot here. So Brad would come off the golf course, and he'd be, look great because his moisture wicking clothes looked great. And I would come off the golf course and cotton, and I'd have to go home and take a shower before I could go have dinner somewhere.
So true.
So it was so bad. So I said, I think I can make clothing that, has a moisture wicking built into the clothing for women. I mean, it's not heard of.
Right.
No one had it at the time. So I started putting together bodices of dresses and skirts of another and mixed and match, and came up with about 6 dresses. Brad and I, before this, Brad and I were on vacation in St. Croix, and I had gone out to buy a little dress that night to wear for dinner for that last night, and nothing fit a curvy girl like me because there's, I have a lot of curves. So I literally went back in the hotel.
So grateful for because there's dresses that fit.
Yeah. So I walked back into the condo and put my hands on my hips and said, I can make better dresses than I can find. And y'all know Brad. I am the high-strung energy one in the family. Brad is the calm, social, calm, quiet. And he looked up from whatever he was reading and said, why don't you? And I said, well, I can't do that,
He's going to call in 2 minutes.
Yeah, he's gonna call in 2 minutes.
I was be like, you're
Yeah.
talking about me again.
So I said, I can't do that. And he said, yes, why can't you? I mean, how many products have you launched in your lifetime? And so it really came a time of prayerful of time for me to think about what I was doing and how could I help? And really came up with the mission that if I can make dresses for women to look good and feel good, then they could go out and do God's work.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really kind of that underlying mission statement of what we wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
We started with 6 dresses. I went to a market, Atlanta market, showed my little 6 dresses, and sat there. If you go to market, the booths are just packed with dresses, and here I've got my little 6 dresses, 6 little mannequins. I'm like, here they are. And so anyway, it was interesting. But I ended up picking up 6 customers, boutiques, small boutiques.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is still a dear friend of mine to this day. Picked up 6 boutiques, and before you knew it, came to 16, and then 26, and then 36. And before we knew it, we had 350 boutiques and over 175 golf courses buying product from us,
I'll never forget when the TPCs, the golf, the TPC Sawgrass and those, like, you went to the PGA Tour show and you were just like, you're not going to believe what happened.
We were overwhelmed. I mean,
we prayed.
We prayed like crazy.
Yeah.
We had this one sweet little golf course down in South Florida that were buying this one particular dress called the Key West and buying it. And I'm like, she was buying 50 at a time. I'm like, what are you doing with these dresses? And she said, Katherine, the ladies are playing golf in them. And it started a whole trend of women playing golf because they were cooler.
Yeah.
And so we basically said, well, I guess we're going into the golf business. And we literally had dresses for women to wear to church, to boutique, anything, events, to dresses to wear on the golf course. And really that really kind of built our platform of what we were going to do. And, 12 years later, we're still doing it.
We had recorded a legend session, and it's coming up in a couple months, but it was my roommate from college, and she happened to be in town. So we recorded her as one of our upcoming legends. But I felt like I had arrived in the world when my roommate from college from Pennsylvania showed up at my house and had a Katherine Way dress on. And I recognized it. And I was like, that's a Katherine Way dress. And she's like, she's my favorite. And I was like, she's my friend.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, Sandy literally was like, wait, what?
Right.
And I was like, she's on my board and she's my friend. And she was like, and she literally took me into her closet, and it was just Katherine Way. And I was like, oh my gosh, my worlds collided. And she was like, can I meet her? And I was like, well, I'll have to call and see.
Get her schedule. Rodney used to say, we need a sign, Katherine, that just says Katherine Way collections for our closet.
Our closet. I was like, oh, it was great.
I used to say, my friend made it. And they're like, do you think she could make one for me? And I'm like, I'm not like that. She'd be like, you can go on the website.
Oh, we had a good time. We had a really good time. I mean,
I miss those so much.
I miss them too.
I mean, I have nothing to choose from in my closet. Like, what a stupid thing to say. But I mean, I just, like a day like today, I'm just like, I just want like my little sleeveless dress and my bloomers and be done with it.
Color it done,
So management-wise, we're talking about Lydia, and Lydia traveled from city to city. We've talked about it. She kind of expanded the market because of where it was needed. I mean, we kind of talked about all of that. Looking back over your years, whether it's with Katherine Way or anybody, what would be some of the good and bad of management that you've learned over the years? Like things that I did well with management and maybe things that I didn't do so well. But like, what would be some of your...
Well, one of the things I feel like I did well, and by the way, I think Lydia and I kind of, like, there's some similarities. Because Lydia, I mean, she was a real staunch kind of woman. She was black and white. And, the people that really know me, I'm very black and white. I probably offend a lot of people when I'm like, black and white about stuff and not, I'm not lot of loving, because she kind of girl.
That's why we get
There we
along.
go. Yeah, that's why we get along.
That's right.
And
There was
but
no hugging.
Zero
Yeah.
You will not find tears on this podcast.
Yeah.
That is right.
yeah, I don't do a lot of that. Where I'm very much blunt and stuff. But Lydia had to be. She was very management. She managed a lot of people. She did a lot of stuff. I mean, she's an awesome woman. But for me, I learned about how to treat people from an old boss. I mean, I had a boss that just was a tirade, not here in Jacksonville, but in Atlanta. But she was a tirade, and I learned from her how to treat others and how to treat customers, but how to treat your people first. People came first. Your people come first, and they are, you teach them, or you help them learn your management style and how to be confident in themselves. If you do that, your world is your oyster.
Yeah.
I mean, that was one of the things I told my team to this day. I mean, when they call, you're smart. You make it up if you don't know it. You run it by me or whatever. But you can make decisions. So basically, delegating down and trying to let them be confident in what they did. So I think that was a management style.
And now I'm selfishly getting into it. Did you have a hard time delegating when it was Katherine Way and it was your baby? I mean, that was your baby.
Oh, well, I hired good people from the beginning. So, I mean, smarter people than me.
That way, right?
Yeah.
Like, one of the things that you did, I think, is invest in your people right away. Like, not sort of get by with whoever we could fit in the
Whoever's
slot.
breathing.
And,
Right.
oh, you can fog a mirror, right? Kind of thing. I mean, she had, a marketing person. She had a finance person. And I think that saved you so many headaches.
Oh, a lot of headaches.
That I
asked
didn't
good questions. Yeah, I asked good questions, and I held them to accountability. But I feel like hiring the right people at the right place, the right seats, was important. And it's that hire slow, fire fast kind of thing.
Yeah.
And we did. I mean, if there was not a good fit with the team and they couldn't gel with the team, I'd be the first one to say, it's not a good fit. Get out, kind of thing.
But you also spend the money on the right people.
Spent the
which
money.
I think those are hard decisions to make as a leader, and you're looking at your finances and going, oh my gosh, how do I spend this money? But vice versa, how do I get this done and done well? And it does save you so much time, but it takes a while to make the money part pay off.
Right, especially
that investment.
Yeah, especially in our business, because you had to invest a season ahead, and so you were out of a lot of money a whole season. So, and it's a penny business. The fashion industry is a penny business. So,
What do you mean by a penny business?
so every penny counts.
Oh.
It's kind of like coffee. If you know how coffee is, or any food products, I mean, it is a penny business. And really explaining the finances to the team when they came on board. I mean, we went through the expense of, we were small. We were like 5 of us, but we were a multi-million-dollar business. So, but we took the time to develop a HR manual, operations manual. We took the time to really sit down and say, this is why you can't just go jack up a bunch of expenses when it's a penny business and that thing. And so really explaining to them and showing them how a P&L works and how it all flushes out, so they understood. And that even for the people in the back and the logistics when they're pick, packing, and shipping. Why is pick, packing, and shipping so important? That is, that's where that's where you get paid.
Right
there. It's got to look perfect.
It was your first impression to your customer.
Yeah.
But I think ours is not, nobody would probably ever call it a penny business, but I remember running around going, if I see anything that's not printed on double-sided paper, and if it's in colored, it doesn't have to be, I mean, all those little things matter.
I always tell the story. I was a teacher for years. That was for years. I was an elementary school teacher, and we had an office, a working office, where you'd go get your construction paper and your staples and your paper clips. As a teacher, you needed stuff. There was the supply closet for our school, and I would go in and grab a box of paper clips and a thing of envelopes, and that paper clip was connected to the other one, and I didn't want to unconnect it. I would throw it away because I was like, whatever. You'd rush through it. Never thought twice about it until fast forward, 7 years later, we decide to start our own school. And I think I'll do a supply closet because that's what you do at school.
Right.
So I filled a supply closet for my staff at my school that we just opened. And I was like, wow, paper clips are really expensive. Maybe we don't need paper clips, right? So then we get them in there in the supply closet, and I see a teacher throw away. I tell the story all the time. The same thing I did. 2 paper clips were connected. And instead of unconnecting them, she threw them away. And I lost my marbles. I was like, do you know how much those paper clips cost? And my husband was like, where did that come from? But it's the reality that I think, unless you are the one who is starting the business from the ground up, at least for me, I never really understood the cost of anything. I knew it was out there. I knew somebody had to pay for it. But until you're the one paying for the paper clips, you don't talk about a penny business. Like, don't throw away the paper clip. I mean,
right. An entrepreneur is so different than a job, because I think in my jobs it was like that.
Right.
We printed in color all the time.
Right.
When you're all of a sudden you're
You
paying
were
the
with
bills.
big, huge companies
some
too.
trucks,
You're
right?
like glossy brochures.
Right.
Selling
Exactly.
it, and you didn't care.
And nobody cared. I
Yeah.
mean, it was like, if you saved 2 cents, nobody cared. But I tell you, when it becomes
Your own.
your thing, it's a hard thing to teach.
it is.
Also.
It is.
So.
Yeah.
And it requires you to talk about the money. I mean, we just had the staff meeting here, and I laid out the paper cups versus a mug.
Yeah.
And when you throw away the garbage at the end of the day and it's filled with paper cups,
Right.
those cups and the sleeve and the lid costs me
Yeah.
X
you're
amount of
sitting here.
dollars, and you're just throwing it away in the garbage. Like, put it in a mug. I mean, but you had to break down how much they each
I will
cost for the
say a mug
employees.
is so much nicer.
Oh, it's so
And the little
nice.
glass
It's
cups are so
shiny.
nice.
I would
The
rather
glass
have
cups
a
are
mug.
so
glass
nice.
The glass
we invested
cups are
in
nice,
new.
yeah.
I know.
They're really
that was
cool.
one where you spent the money to get
Yeah,
them because
I think that was good.
That was the point. We're throwing away the garbage. But I think
Yeah.
to your point, when you're talking about a penny company like that, we had to share that with the staff. I
Yeah.
mean, so
And until you take the time to educate your staff, no matter what you're doing, understanding why you can't have Panera every Friday,
Right. Right.
or it's something big. I mean, if you explain it to them, they're going to understand. And what you're doing is you're building good employees for not only for you now, but for the future, for them to grow to their next job and take their next job a little bit more important. I think it was always like talking about when I was I touched my mic. But when I was talking about when I was on the marketing side of the business for big brands and stuff, I've always had the thing is that I'm not going to spend any money. I'm going to spend the money, but I'm going to spend it as if it was my own money.
Yeah.
And if I
That would make
think of it that way, you're going to spend less, or you're going to be a lot more prudent with it.
Right.
So I think that's a management skill.
Yeah.
But I also think I totally lost my train of thought.
I was going to say we've been noticing when I re-listen to these, her and I both say, I really think. I was like, we are really big
And I said,
thinkers,
right.
and you just went like, I think.
So it just
big
wanted
thinkers.
to come back.
I know it.
It'll
I
come
wanted
back.
to say something that
So, as we're
relative to
kind
that.
of winding
Oh,
up a
now I
little bit
remember.
here. Oh, do you remember?
I do.
Okay.
When we did Business God's Way,
Yes.
I think.
See, we are such thinkers. We are thinkers.
We studied. We studied, and God rewards you for doing it His way, which is being a good steward, and that's not throwing away the paper clips, right? That's not going to Panera every week. I think there's a fine line that you have to walk, but we're also teaching as managers, as people that are I'm managing this money as if it were all my money. It's not, it's God's money. And I think that teaches every single employee if we're doing the right communication.
Right.
This is what's important. If you look at our balance sheet, if you look at our expenses, what is the most expensive thing that comes out? And it's payroll, right? Which means you're taking care of your people. So anyway, sorry.
And even just recently, I put out, hey, here's where our numbers are to staff, not even just management, but here's the reality.
Yeah.
And I've always had
was
that
very brave.
open transparency. Here's where we are. Here's where we need to be. Here's why we're not getting there or getting there.
Yeah.
Because I think part of that is too, in my experience in the past, there wasn't transparency in the businesses. So I didn't know to not spend the paperclip. Nobody told me. Had somebody called me in and said, hey, Tammie, by the way, this cost us, I would have been like, oh gosh, don't throw away the paperclip. But there was, at least growing up, even in my own home, there was a very, you don't talk about money. You don't talk about religion, politics, or money.
Exactly.
And I think I've tried to take hey, money is part of it. Whether we have it or don't have it, it's going to determine the business. So y'all just need to know where we're at in this in hopes that they appreciate it and don't throw away the paperclip.
Good education.
Yeah.
It is. Well, and if people go home and take that to their homes, think about how life changes, right?
But also, a lot of that will constitute really good ideas on how to improve the bottom line.
Right.
Oh, well, what if we do X, Y, and Z? It may drop right to the bottom line.
Yes.
Or how can we get out and market the business a little bit better? And maybe they take a little bit more sincere thought on when they talking to their friends about coming to a coffee shop. You just never know.
And how many good ideas came from like a desperation of, oh, we got to do something different, right?
Oh,
I mean, in my world, that was a lot. I mean, we changed our business model, 4 years in because of like, this isn't
working right now.
Right?
Yeah.
We got to do something, and did a 180-degree turn.
And look at it.
And so I think you do have to sort of survive those moments and learn from them. But
So how, in your experience, you've worked with a lot of men. You've worked with a lot of men. I mean,
I'm in
and
a men's
obviously
world.
we say this is Christian working women. I mean, that's kind of the target that this podcast really is trying to reach. Do you have any stories of how it was working with men or as a woman? And
There's just some I can never say on air.
This is censored.
Times have changed quite a bit, and thank goodness it has changed.
well, you said the conductors smacked you on the butt. You were telling this story.
Great. This is going to be on film, yes. When I was in Italy, when I was young, I was 24, 20, I don't know. Brad and I had just been married a year, and a girlfriend and I went all over Europe, traveling, and we were on the Eurail, and I was on an Italian train coming home back from Paris to Italy, back to Rome, and he said something to me, and I, said something, and he slapped me on my butt as I walked to my room. It was like, oh my God,
Now
you pull a gun on you, but that kind of thing. So, but I mean, back then,
it was wild.
It was
That was okay.
It was wild. It was crazy. There was something I also wanted to tell you about
I had a client that called me sweetie. Like he
well,
was, I mean, we're in the South, but I mean, I came from New York City. I was like, I don't know, we can do that. Is that, and he was the sweetest man. And, he was old, but like today you
couldn't do that.
Yeah, you couldn't get
well, and I have a horrible time. I mean, I'm awful about calling people honey all the time, and I need to reel it back in, but
But that's endearing.
From a Southern girl, it's okay, but there's times when it probably is not.
But I think what's again, I'm thinking.
You're thinking. I'm telling you, we are such deep thinkers.
We are. But how cool is it that we all have these paths that we've gone down as Christian working women, and they're not straight. So many times we hear it's going to look like this. I mean, I've counseled so many young women that think, well, I have to plan 3 years out, 5 years out, 7 years out. And you're like, no, you can't do that. I mean, and if I had, I feel like I would have missed so much. It's so many of the bad bosses that taught us something, or the good bosses that taught us something. Or the failures.
Or the businesses that I'm like, you shouldn't have done that.
Right.
That wasn't great.
Right.
Oh, I totally agree.
Right.
There's many of those, and I think there's failures in everyone.
What?
She thinks
too.
Yeah,
I think the name of this podcast, the Thinking Misfits.
The Thinking Misfits. But it's interesting. I mean, I thought my path was going to be, this straight little line, and it hasn't been. It's been the highs and lows throughout my entire career, and it's still highs and lows.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
sure.
And I don't mind it being highs and lows, because I know that God's taking good care of me through it. Driving over here this morning, I was talking to him about how calm I am right now. Well, that's a first. But I was like, I'm just super calm right now, and I truly believe it's my faith.
It gives you that, right?
Thank goodness.
I told my niece, she's 25, finishing up nursing school, trying to finish up school, working full time, got her first apartment, just
The
at that
whole
phase.
thing,
I'm
yeah.
like, and she's very overwhelmed a lot. And so she called last night and she said, everything's going so well right now, I'm almost afraid. Like something's, and same thing I was telling her last night, which is funny, as we've walked through 50 years of chaos in business, we can look at her and say, and I said, babe, enjoy this time. Like, God's called us to an abundant life, and there are moments when it's good, and you need to just embrace that and love that and walk in that. And my husband's always giving me the verse, because I'm always like, well, it's going good, shoe's gonna fall, you're almost waiting for the bad. And Sean's been so good as saying, Tammie, the verses talk, we go from victory to victory and from glory to glory. And when you look at that in the Greek and Hebrew, it's like ... So the idea is you're going from glory to glory to glory, or from victory to victory to victory. We don't have to live with the shoe's going to fall.
Coming. Right.
We need to live with this is great, knowing that if it isn't, we're going to deal with it.
Right.
But trying to teach my 24-year-old last night, she just called and said that, like, it's just all going good right now and everything's calm, and you can feel the fear in her voice of this isn't gonna last.
And I think they wish it away. Like, I don't think I was like that. I want to be so far ahead, and I think if that would be my management advice, and we can talk about
Enjoy
it.
this.
Like,
Enjoy
it
this.
is-
This is a ride. This is,
It
and I mean,
is.
before you know it, you're going to look up and you're going to have 2.5 kids, and and life
Miley
is going
Cyrus,
on.
The Climb, the song.
Yeah,
about the
yeah,
climb.
It isn't amazing though. Like, all three of us said, like, we have a champion in our spouses, and Rodney's my biggest cheerleader. Brad's your biggest cheerleader. Sean's your, all three of them stand behind us and go, sure, do it. That sounds like a
such
great,
a good point.
and I think you have to have
That support.
that kind of support, because I wouldn't have taken risks that
Not
that
the
I've
risks that
taken.
you've taken right now. Yeah,
Right.
without Rodney saying,
Well,
look,
and
what do you got to
wouldn't-
do?
I mean, if you actually logically thought about the fact that you were going to launch a dress line, you'd been, yeah, no, I'm going to talk myself
leave
right
a
out of
very
that.
high C-suite
Right.
position to do that.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
a
What are we
big
doing?
risk.
Exactly.
Right.
I mean, I started a business. I didn't know what the heck I was doing, and that was Rodney saying, "You got this," and I'm thinking, "Okay, I got
Yeah.
this.
Same
God's
thing.
got this." And you're same thing.
Well, I mean, and Sean was the one I was like, I really want to start the school, and we don't have the money. And he's like, well, we'll sell the house. I was like, okay. I mean, just
Right.
never even hesitated. We'll
Yeah.
sell the house, take the money, start your business. Like, zero hesitation. It's a good point.
Yeah.
Shout out to the hubbies.
So,
Yeah.
it is. I mean, as frustrated as we can be sometimes.
Oh,
I mean,
no
it's
chill.
it's definitely like.
Yeah, and Brad
Like,
was
we
so
do have a
yeah.
champion.
Yeah, we do.
God
And
has
Brad,
given
Brad,
us
I
all.
never will forget. On all these different fashion shows that we've gone to, and all the different things he's done.
see him.
And he'll introduce himself as "I'm Mr. Katherine Way."
Yeah.
That kind of
That's
stuff.
so
But
cute.
it's really,
He's
he
such
has
a
been
sweetheart.
yeah, he is. He's
I will never forget him trying to hang the blinds in this place.
oh gosh.
He's such a
Sweetheart. Anyway, he's
Oh, my
home hanging
goodness.
stuff for me today, so that's
Is
a
he?
good thing.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
he just had a complete
Yes,
knee
I
replacement,
know.
and he was a rock star. He did a great.
This
he did
is
a
the
great
thing
job.
we need to add is a caretaker. Should be
Yes.
a caretaker.
Big caretaker. That'd be a good
Yeah.
topic.
I know, it's a
That
very
would be a good
topic.
topic.
Yeah. It's interesting though, I'm walking with two young women right now. So I hope they're listening to this, because their question is, do I take these risks? And both of them have these dreams, but somehow our culture, and both of them are strong believers. And I don't know, I mean, that's part of my argument, is I don't think the church does a good enough job to women saying, just dream and take a risk and do it. And both of these women that I'm walking through it are like, should I just not? And both of them have a dream to do something. And it's like, I can't get either of them to just do it.
Do it.
There's
Bring
this
them on.
hesitation.
We will jump
And
on.
so they just,
We will be your
hands
hands
on.
Yeah.
But I think
I think if you don't, like, it
You're
goes
gonna
to what
regret it.
Miles Monroe said, like you have a seed that's been planted.
Yep.
And we didn't talk about this last week, but one of we probably don't have a ton of
What
time.
time are we?
But
We haven't turned the watch off though, which is glorious. This is the first full
making all the knocks about the watch. No bracelets today. But one of the things he said, and I don't think we talked about it, was how much waste there is in cemeteries of people that didn't.
That dreams die.
That the dreams just died, and what an incredible loss it is to our societies. That,
It's so sad.
That the people just didn't take their seed and run with it. And
He said, what did he say? There was a phrase in it that he said something about
it's early on.
don't go to the seminary.
Oh, you can do that too.
Seminary too. Don't go to the cemetery with anything left. Like when you get
He
to
said
the
die
cemetery,
empty.
Die empty.
Die empty.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really good. And I would talk to those girls and encourage them to maybe talk to other women who have stepped out as an entrepreneur and tried stuff. And yeah, I mean, there's been many times I've failed, and you know, I've failed miserably on a whole bunch of stuff, and I maybe didn't do everything right, but that
But
doesn't
would you
make me
change
quit.
any of it?
Yeah.
No,
No,
heck
me
no.
neither. I look at that too. There in
I
a
wouldn't
million
change it
years,
up.
even the failures, I would not
Oh,
go back
no.
and not
No.
do any of the risks. I would take
Because
them
it was
every time.
so worth it. I think I would have given God more the glory, which I wish I would have done that. I mean, and I do today. But I feel like I think I would have been less. I'm sorry about that.
Get chills. You would think I've had a chill in rare years. I was like, sorry.
Table shook.
Was it an earthquake? No,
what did you do with that? Sorry.
But I feel like, what I was going to say
Sorry.
was, it's all right. But I mean, I really feel like I would have been such a sad person if I wouldn't have tried it.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's why I keep going today and continuing to do entrepreneurial type things today. So
I'm going to quote him before you do your
Okay,
joke.
go ahead. I have so many to choose from.
I
I'm
know,
not
you
sure
can
which
choose
one.
your joke. I thought what he said was, it was such a great sermon if you get a chance to listen to it, but it's, he said, God's management principles, kingdom management, every human was born to be in business. The cemetery is filled, and this scared me, unfilled potential, unpainted paintings, unstarted businesses, buried are dreams that are never made into reality, inventions never invented. Wealth in a cemetery is potential, and that's untapped power, unused energy, dormant ability, hidden strengths, unused success. And that's what those girls need to hear, because we all have that. And I know I missed opportunities. I know, like fear kept me from so many things.
And
so
still
many
does.
things. And still does.
I mean,
And
there
still
are
does.
opportunities that I'm like, well, do we do it now? We're getting to this phase in life. Do I want to?
Right. Do I wanna take it
I
on?
get scared now of stuff.
Exactly. But I think that's why we have each other.
Right.
Again, it goes back to we have champions, and we have a group of people that says,
keep you accountable.
let's talk through that. And you know, because you're going to get excited, and I'm going to go poo poo, and you're
You'd be
going
my fletching.
right. Exactly. I mean, right.
That's a whole nother.
Yeah, a whole other. But anyway.
Yeah.
I just think, you know, that's the advice I would give is like,
Me too.
if you want to stand
bring 'em
before the
on.
Lord.
I know. We'll get
yeah.
them at the next live one. I'm not going to say their names right now, but
No,
hopefully
but-
they're listening. And it's been fun to walk with them, just
Yeah.
at that generation. Like that.
Yeah.
And it's fun to walk with young women.
Yeah, I love that.
To walk with young women, and even on the fashion side of the business, you know, I still have a few women call me, and I'll tell them, if you want to be in fashion, you want to do it. Here's some things I want you to do, but you got to do them before I even will talk to you, because I don't want to talk to anybody
You're not that
if
serious.
you're not that dedicated on it. So
That's so good. I don't
That's
actually say that.
I gotta give them homework.
You're
I
very
say
good
that
at
in counseling. Like
You
Sean
do
and
in
I do marriage
counseling.
counseling a
Yeah.
lot, and we'll come in and I'll say, listen, I'll be more than happy to give you our time, and we'll walk through whether it's pre-marriage or issues, but we're going to give you a list, and the first time you don't do, or at least attempt to do what we tell you to do, I'm
done.
out.
We're done.
Because
Yeah,
then you're not
that's
really
time.
in it. Like
Right.
I can't, I don't, and that's
I
not to be
agree.
mean, not because I'm offering so much, but just
I don't say it
you've got to
enough.
be willing to do it, or there's no point.
I
There's
do
really-
it. I like mentally. I go, okay, I'm done with that person, right? But I need to do a better job of saying that. Well, anyway, go ahead.
All right, well, Catherine, thank you for coming.
Yes, thank
for
you.
having me. I'm going to
it was a lot
close
of
with
fun.
a joke.
Oh Lord.
Watch out.
This is a
because
manager joke. This one's not nearly as dirty as the last
She
one.
had a dirty joke last time.
The last one
Yeah, a
was
nun and
funny.
a priest.
There was a nun and a priest. There was, anyways.
It's about knowing your Bible.
This is a sales rep, An administration clerk and a manager are walking to lunch when they find an antique oil lamp. They rub it and a genie comes out. The genie says, I'll give each of you just one wish. Me first, says the admin clerk. I want to be in the Bahamas driving a speedboat without a care in the world. Poof, she's gone. Me next, says the sales rep. I want to be in Hawaii relaxing on the beach with my personal masseuse, an endless supply of pina coladas, and the love of my life. Poof, he's gone. Okay, you're up, the genie says to the manager. And the manager says, I want those two back in the office after lunch. Moral of the story, always let your boss have the first say.
That's great.
That's very good.
See, management?
There I go.
That was
I
funny.
gave a laugh.
That was funny.
Very
Yeah.
good. Didn't
Yeah.
get as much of a laugh as that.
Last week I laughed. Anyway, thank you for being here. We're very
Thank you
grateful.
for having
Cheers.
me. It's always
You are
good
a
to see
legend.
you guys.
are a legend.
You
Y'all
are a
making me sound
legend.
really old,
Oh.
though. Yeah. Anyway.
We could have lunge ledgers.
Lunges can be done. Lunges can be done.
Lung lunges.
What's in that thing? I mean, what are you drinking? I have tea.
Our intro says that you could bring a margarita. So,
Oh,
you know.
okay. Well,
All right.
This
Okay.
was fun.
This was fun. Thank you for being here.